I'm guessing if we'd all look back over our lives, there's something that we might regret or wish we would have done differently, like a purchase that we made, an opportunity we wish we would have taken, spending more time with family, or taking a few more trips. In today's show, we're going to talk about the 7 biggest retirement regrets. Don't be part of the 26% of retirees that don't have the lifestyle they wanted during retirement. Instead, use today's show to learn from others to help make your retirement the best.
Welcome to the Your Life, Your Money podcast with Scott Searens, teaching you how to thrive in life, wealth, and retirement.
Welcome into Your Life, Your Money. Scott, how's it going today?
Ben, it's a great day. Thank you. It's been it's hard to believe we're already in the month of September. This is crazy.
It really is. It's gone by quickly, and maybe it's all, every year I think it's faster and faster. But I think this year, particularly, at least for me, it's been busy in terms of we've been able to get away for 3 or 4 kind of weekend trips, 3-day, 4-day trips to the lake, to the beach. So we've always kind of had something around the corner. And when you kind of have that, it feels like you're always just kind of constantly moving. And next thing you know, like the summer is behind you.
I agree. At the beginning of this summer, my girlfriend and I, we sat down, we put together kind of I'll call it our summer list, and there was things that both of us like to do, things that, here's what I was hoping to do, things that, Christy was hoping to do. And I mean, I was kind of just, thinking about it here. And so we've made 2 trips to Wisconsin to hang out with her family. We made a trip through Michigan. My family had a family reunion. That was awesome. That was a weekend. And then just kind of a lot of live music, sitting outside, going to dinners, and then capped it off, Ben, with taking some of my cousins to the water park, and it was a awesome 70-degree day. It was a little cold.
Yeah.
The sun was under. It was cloudy, and it rained a little bit. But I tell you what, we're talking ages, I think, let's say 7 through 15. And then, parents and myself and Christy, and nobody complained once. We had a blast. I think it was because they could get off of any water slide or ride that they were on and, just jump right back into the front of line. So they were on the way out, they're counting it. They're like, boy, we did that one 5 times and this one 10 times. So it was a blast. It was a great way to cap off the summer. And yeah, I mean, looking back, no regrets. It was just a great summer. How about you? Anything that you wish you would have added into the list?
Nothing that I wish I would have added. I think I've been pretty happy with the way everything's played out, and being able to get to town. Maybe play a little more golf. Maybe that'd be the one. The one regret is maybe not getting out there a few more times, but I can't complain. I had 2 golf trips this year, so I mean that's a win in my book.
Now, maybe I should throw that one on my list too, because my golf trip's coming up here soon, and I don't think I've gotten enough practice in. So maybe there's my regret. I should have put some more golf time in the summer plans.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you talk about regrets. That's really what we want to talk about today is the regrets people have about retirement. We're going to go through the 7 biggest retirement regrets. Again, like this is kind of a conversation about people that have looked forward to retirement, have thought a lot about retirement, but they've gotten there and they realize maybe I didn't plan as much as I should have along the way, and I can't live the retirement that I want to. So that'll be the goal today on the show. Also, encourage you to share this with a friend. If you know anyone that's getting close to retirement or really is trying to learn a lot about financial planning, please share the episode with them. You can share the podcast itself or just share the website, lifemoneyshow.com, because they can find all the podcasts there. They can also find the video content that Scott produces as well on the Retirement 360 Blueprint Process channel. And we appreciate all the support there. Always good to get feedback, Scott. I know you've gotten a lot of it.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of feedback. We appreciate people, sharing it with their friends, their coworkers, family members, just, people are trying to help others out, and I think that's a good thing. That's what it's all about, is delivering value to other people, and we all have the same goal, right? At the end of the day, we want to just live a happy, healthy life and be financially confident about our futures. And so just always helping each other down that same goal. And I think, today's a good example of that. We talk about regrets. Well, we all want to help each other. And this is learning from other people's mistakes. And I hear it all too often when people come in and sit down so many times to say, boy, I wish I would have, fill in the blank, or, hey, Scott, learn from my mistakes, make sure you don't, and then, fill in the blank. So I think this is a good topic because, hey, how can we learn from others and learn from this article here so that way we can, put ourselves in the right positions?
Very good. So we'll take you through it kind of one by one here, all 7 of these regrets to go through. But I did think it was interesting, and we're going to put this article in the show notes. So if you want to read through it yourself after we get done, you can always do that, or open it up and follow along as we go through it. We'll put it in the show notes from gobankingrates.com. But the one interesting stat here at the beginning that they lead off with is that the study that they were referencing here revealed that 26%, so 1 in 4 retirees, are not living the lifestyle they wanted to live during retirement because they didn't properly have everything in order. So to me, that's a pretty surprising stat that 1 in 4 are not living the life that they had hoped for.
Like you said, Ben, I think that's really unfortunate. I mean, we work really hard, to get to that point of retirement, or we'll call it work optional. And then to get to that point, to have worked and saved, and then not live that lifestyle that you really wanted to, that's unfortunate. And I hope that as we go through today, we can help people that are listening so they're not the 1 in 4.
All right, let's start off with number 1 here, diversifying investments, or the regret being I didn't diversify my investments enough. And, this is not a surprise, really, Scott, and we talk about diversification all the time, but some interesting stats here.
Yeah, and why is this one a regret? In my opinion, it's because it can have a huge impact on the money that you have going into retirement, and then also the money that you have or keep, or ability to keep as you go through retirement. And the article made a couple really great points. One is diversification. And share a quick story with you. Met a couple that, they had waited, we'll say maybe 6 months, 3 months prior to the retirement to sit down and meet. They had saved up a couple $1 million, but as we had walked through their overall picture, about 50% of what they had was in a one company stock. And looking at the history of that stock, it had already fallen 30%, but actually at a time where the market seemed to be doing just fine. And so they had already, kind of lost some before going into retirement, but, it wasn't full regret because that we're sitting down, so we're actually able to diversify them out. And looking at where that company stock is now, it's even further down. So it was, helpful to take them out of that position and to diversify them. But that's what can happen is that, we get emotionally tied to a company that we work for, and you're putting kind of a lot of your, eggs in that basket because you're like, I love this company. They do such a great job. We have such a great product. And then, unfortunately, profits change, things change, the consumer's appeal to that company changes, and while the rest of the market could be doing just fine, next thing you know, your company's sliding and the value of what you have and own is going downhill as well. I always use the analogy of the 2 elevators that we talk about sometimes, Ben, as you're looking at that wall, and if you're going up to the 10th floor of a building and you see 2 elevators, and the elevator on the left has 1 string holding it up, but the elevator on the right has hundreds of strings holding it up, which one would you get in?
Yeah, the one with a lot of support.
Yeah, the one with a lot of support. And that's where this client was prior to us sitting down, is they only had 1 or 2 strings, holding them up, and so we got them over to the elevator that had a lot of support. The other great point that the article makes is about reducing risk. And, a couple points on this is, one, as markets do well, we don't want the emotions of greed to take over. But I also see sometimes that, people have never looked at their 401ks or updated their 401ks or their IRAs or their investment accounts as they, get into that critical time period, that 5 years approaching retirement or that first 5 years after retirement. So next thing they know, they're going into retirement and their accounts are sitting fully in equities or stocks or stock funds. And then we have a year like we just had where the market drops down and it has a huge impact on, the first years of their retirement because it's impacting how much now that they can withdraw. So, the strategy that we like to utilize is as you start approaching retirement, you want to start carving off some of your funds into investments that aren't subject to that same volatility as stocks, as the market. So that way you've always got an area to go to make your withdrawals when you need to do it.
All right, so diversification, number one on this list, and I would say probably all these are pretty equal, maybe not ranked as we go through here. But the second one here, Scott, we talk about it. The reason why we do this podcast is to kind of show people the value that you bring to the table when you work with clients. But one of the regrets here is not seeking professional help. And the quote that's used here in this article, and I'll just kind of pull quickly a little bit of it, but it says, a comprehensive financial plan can give you great insight into how far your money will take you in retirement. And I think that's key. Most people can't look that far ahead and make sure their money will last. And that's always the biggest fear.
It's a huge fear on how long will it last, but then, hey, I've saved up this money. How do I maximize it? How do I enjoy what I've worked so hard to save? And this one doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of people that want to try to do it themselves. They want to maybe avoid the, cost of working with a financial advisor. And of course, you shouldn't work with someone unless you're getting value out of, that relationship. But then, or another reason maybe why they're not doing it or seeking out the help is because they're not sure who to go to or who to trust. And, at the end of the day, then why is this regret? They get through retirement and they look back realizing maybe they left some money on the table. They could have had some more fun. They could have made some more withdrawals. They could have, helped out their kids. They could have, gifted more in that. They could have taken more vacations as a family. So I think the regret comes from potential missed opportunities here. And just to share, a few stories, one client who came in, and I don't know that they were necessarily do-it-yourselfers. We weren't sure exactly who to go to and who to trust. And once we sat down and went through the process, what I recognized is that they were scared to take money out of their accounts. And I think this is very typical. And they had saved over $1 million, but they were truly scared to take money out of their accounts. But they also had these really awesome vacation plans and things that they wanted to do and trips that they wanted to take with, brothers and sisters and cousins and friends. And just by putting that plan together, we're not able to help them maximize what income they could take today, but also figure as part of that plan that they could spend $15,000 a year just in trips and vacations and fun things that they wanted to do, which they had no idea. And if they would have let that go all the way through retirement, I'm guessing, in their 80s, they would have had regret going, wow, look at all this money I still have. I could have or should have been doing those vacations. One client that I sat down with and, we met when they were in their 70s. They said, I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. And the reason being is they probably would have retired 2 years earlier, as well as based on where they had saved their money, they had missed out. They were already now in the age where they had to do required minimum distributions. So they were, now having to take those required distributions. They missed out on years where there were potential tax savings opportunities that they could have taken advantage of. And so I find sometimes, again, it's finding that right person that you can trust, that provides the services that you're looking for, and the value will, exceed the cost that you're paying for that relationship. And then if so, it's then helping you get across those those lines of being scared to touch your money, being, understanding how much you can withdraw from it and take from it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. This next one, Scott, I think this one's probably a regret that people, by the time they've had it, probably might be too late to do anything about it, but that's not preparing for the diminished capacity that comes with getting older.
And I think why this is a regret is some point in time we're going to need help. We're going to need help living. We might need help making decisions, paying the bills. And unfortunately, I find that this one does get ignored a lot, and then it becomes a regret because it just, if you let all of this go and then you don't have all the right documents in place and you need help making decisions or you need help paying the bills, without the right documents in place, nobody can help you, and this just becomes an even bigger stress item in the future. Or if it's important to the person to pass on what they've worked so hard to save to their children or to a charity or to specific beneficiaries, but they didn't do anything early on about, for instance, long-term care, then this becomes a regret because next thing you know, you're paying all of what you've worked so hard to save, your retirement savings, to an assisted living facility or a nursing facility. So a few things here, so this doesn't become a regret, is sit down and get your estate documents in place. Make sure you have a will in place. Maybe you need a trust. Speak with the attorney and your financial advisor about that. How about powers of attorney? This is one that I visit with my clients with all the time. I say when they don't have their estate documents in place, and we work with them and their attorney to get them in place, but when they're not in place, I always explain to them, let's just say something was to happen to you. You're in the hospital. You need to pay the bills. And your daughter or son come in and say, hey, I'm Ben's daughter and I'm here to, withdraw some money because I need to help him pay his bills. I'll have to say, okay, can you show me your power of attorney? And if they don't have it, even though they're your family, there's nothing I can do. I can't, help them help you. And so it's really important to get those estate documents in place. The other thing is long-term care, thinking about long-term care, getting long-term care protection in place, because there's two options. Either you can have that protection, and that protection will help you cover some of those assisted living or nursing home bills, or the other option is that you're going to pay what you've worked so hard to save over to those assisted living and nursing home facilities. And you could potentially run through everything that you have and have nothing to leave behind. For some people, that's okay. For some people, they want to pass on a legacy. So don't let these things become a regret. Really sit down, focus on them ahead of time. And especially when it comes to long-term care, Ben, it's one of those things, and it's unfortunate, but I've seen probably in a handful of situations this year where the couples waited a little bit too long, their health had changed, and then they no longer qualified for long-term care.
Yeah. Well, as we go through this next one I think is one that maybe people aren't even thinking of. This could be a nice little tip for people that are getting close to retirement, but the regret people have is just not practicing retirement first, as in not trying your vacation, seeing how long you like to spend away from home, traveling together for an extended period of time. Maybe people aren't doing that. What else can they be doing? And do you work with clients to practice, and I put it in kind of quotes, practice retirement before they get there?
Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting one as well. I mean, just like anything in life, the more we practice, the better we become at things, right, Ben? I'm sure my first podcast episode was a little rough, and the more we do this, the better we become. So I think the more we practice retirement, the better we become at that as well. And I think that I thought it was really cool. You hit the really good parts of the article, and I think, it helps a person determine what kind of experiences that they'll really like, which ones will work for you, but also understanding what's not going to work for you. And to your question, yes, we work with clients who want to go into retirement in a lot of different ways. Some who I'll just share a quick example. I mean, a client who has saved up a couple $1,000,000, they don't need to work, but for them, they're really not certain how, going into full-time retirement would work. And so what they've done is they've decided to go out and get a part-time job. And so we're figuring out how much they'll have coming in from their part-time work, and then how much needs to be taken out of their retirement savings to supplement and make sure they're living the lifestyle that they want to live. It's allowing them to then go out and travel with their spouse and do different vacations and really see how and what's important to them. I have another client where his company allows him to, I'll say, kind of structure his year where he can take, he's got to work a certain amount of time, but then it also allows him to kind of take a bunch of time off. So for instance, they took off, I believe it was like November through March. And what they said is, hey, we bought this camper. We're going to go out. We're going to camp. We're going to be in Arizona. And I think they really enjoy camping. But what they also recognize is maybe we just want a house out in Arizona. So that's them practicing retirement. In 1 year, they found out, okay, hey, we like this, but we also might want this, want this house. And I think that's important. It's just taking the time and realizing that not everything is going to maybe happen exactly the way we want it to happen year one, and it just takes practice. And year one, you're going to learn something. Year two, you're going to learn something more. Year three, you're going to learn something more. And if you're doing it where maybe year one's not full retirement, it's a few weeks of retirement, then that helps you understand what it's going to be like, what you might not like, and really helps to those next steps. And then, yes, we're just working with those clients to understand how and when we need to supplement their income needs so they can live that work optional lifestyle.
We love that work optional lifestyle. Yeah, for sure. And I thought it was interesting mainly because I know you talk about you always want to look at your budget and practice kind of that retirement budget that you plan to have ahead of time, but like actually practicing living that retirement lifestyle, with travel and such. I thought that was an interesting part of this article. All right. Number 5 here, not having a purpose for retirement, a big regret for a lot of people. And I know we stress this quite a bit, Scott. It's not about getting to retirement, but what's your plan going to be? What do you want to be doing? How do you want to be spending your time? Having that purpose is just so crucial to really, truly be able to enjoy your retirement.
I agree. It's finding what brings you joy. And I think this almost goes with practicing retirement as well, because I find that a lot of people are very tied to what they do to work. Some know that they're going to go into retirement and exactly what they're going to do. Some, work was maybe their purpose of just what they were really, striving to do every day. And, it's finding what's meaningful to you and then doing that. And if you're not sure, then it's trying some things. I think, like I mentioned, it's just kind of back to practicing and saying, okay, hey, this is what's important to me. That's what's important to me. What I rarely find is it's never the dollar amount that's in the investment account. It's never, the purpose was, not to grow that, and triple it and quadruple it. I don't have folks coming in here to say, this is my plan and this is what I want to do. And it's just all focused on the money. The money is a tool to be able to achieve what they want to do with their life, whether that's something for themselves, whether that's supporting their children through gifting, through college education, through helping them with the renovation on their house. But it also doesn't always have to be that. It provides them the ability to now have where they don't have to go to work and they can go and donate their time. Maybe it's travel for some people, but hey, you know what? Sometimes if you're not really sure up front either, it just takes time, and I just highly recommend try different things and just keep trying, keep doing different things until you find what brings you joy.
Yep, that's the name of the game. This next one here, Scott, is interesting to me. It's the regret is not having enough non-work friends. And I can see that. I mean, especially if you work in a career where you've worked for a company for 20, 30 years and you just get in a routine of seeing people every day, and that kind of being your, that interactive and intercommunication that you have with people. Like if you leave work and you're not in the office every day, how do you replace that? Do you have people outside of work that you can actually spend time with and have a deeper relationship with? But how do you actually correct this, Scott? If you're in this position where maybe you don't have enough work friends?
And this is where I think the article had some really good ideas, because you're right, Ben. If all of our friends are just work friends, but then, they're not able to hang out with us when we're retired and we're looking to do something during the day and they're at work, retirement could potentially be pretty lonely. Mm-hmm. And I thought the article had some really good ideas here, talked about, joining volunteer groups, maybe some different clubs, taking classes. I know a lot of times people will go back and take different college courses, or is there any local classes at the library or community center, classes in something, a hobby that you like, activities that you like to do. And then one thing that I don't believe it was in the article, but what I've found that a few clients have really enjoyed is they've actually moved into those retirement communities. I have a couple clients here in the Del Webb that's local to my office, and they absolutely love it. I was actually just meeting with one last night, and they were talking about, well, they went to a picnic for the German American Club, and then there was an outing, and then there was a pizza party, and it was just all of these activities for all of these different groups and organizations and that they are a part of in this community, and they absolutely love it. And they've got, tons of new friends through that because, here we're all in the same boat. Once we retire, and there's other people that have retired too, we're all in the same boat, and we're all looking to connect. We're all looking for social interaction, and it's just finding those avenues to provide that. And so I'd say early on, don't be scared and try out some new things. Kind of like we're talking about when it comes to practicing and finding a purpose. I think all three of these really go together, and in the end, it's try new things, and don't be scared to try new things, and talk to your financial advisor. This is what I talk to a lot of clients about is helping them understand that it's okay to spend money within their income limits based on what they've saved up, and sometimes it costs money to try new things, and sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully that gives people that little bit of push to go out there and try something new this weekend.
All right, one more here. 7 biggest retirement regrets, going off this article by Go Banking Rates that it's in the show notes. And, I think we can't have this conversation without talking about communication, Scott. And that's our last one here. And the biggest regret people are having is just not communicating with their partner about what expectations they have for retirement. So, and I think this is an easy one to overlook. Like, you have your dream. I'm sure you go through, you're working in the office and you're slaving away, trying to get to retirement, and you're just envisioning how you're going to spend your time. But have you told your partner that that's what you want to do, right?
And I was trying to think of an analogy for this one, because I know we could just say, oh, make sure you communicate. But, to try to get across, I was thinking, and maybe this one will work, but imagine that, Ben, you and your wife were building a house. And I said, okay, hey, we're building this house. If we're not communicating, right, and maybe you're doing the left side of the house and your wife's doing the right side of the house, I'm going to guess that house is going to look pretty goofy when it all gets done. Or do you think that you'd pick all of the same things?
Probably be a little goofy.
Be a little goofy. Yeah. And hey, same, we all have different expectations. We have different things that we want. Maybe you want brick, your wife wants siding. Next thing you know, you got half and half on the house. You like the windows with a grid, and your wife just wants to be able to see fully out, outside the house. And so that's what I was kind of going with it, is like we feel like we know each other, but we do have different thoughts and feelings of what, we actually like inside. And so, but if you're to do it together, right, you're going to have that discussion and compromises, and okay, hey, I would really like this, but what about that? And this I do unfortunately find, and it's interesting a lot of times when meeting with couples for the first time, and I've had this a couple times, is they haven't even talked about their retirement dates yet. and what that would look like. And I've had where, one spouse really would like to retire right away, but the other, they actually enjoy working and they want to work for a few more years. And then it, brings up, well, okay, well, if you're working, I don't want to be the one, person at home. And it's kind of sometimes that first visit is opening up some of those lines of communication. Others where what they may have wanted to do with their retirement savings was, different. Where one might like to travel and thought that that's what they should be doing a lot, or buying a home in another state, where the other was like, well, I was hoping maybe we could kind of travel a little bit locally. Didn't plan to go overseas. And so I guess just kind of instead of having this regret, or instead of having this as maybe some tension, and I don't ever see it as tension, maybe that was the wrong word, but I think what you said earlier is just, it's all about communication. Talk, be open, supporting each other, and then putting together that plan to see what's possible. So just like, Christy and I did at the beginning of the summer, we sat down and said, okay, what do we want to get done this summer? What interests us? What do we hope that we can do for fun? And, there's things that she liked, there are things that I liked, and there's things that both of us liked. And we put down together that list, and then we just kind of started prioritizing. And, at the end of the summer, we had a really great time because we knew that it brought each of us joy. And I think that's what was important.
Very good. Well, as always, you want to have a plan right in place for this, and Scott can help you with that. His team over at Sierens Financial Group can help you make sure you're not going to have these regrets in retirement, to make sure all the boxes are checked along the way. So if you want a 15-minute phone call, that's the best place to start, right, Scott? And you can book that online.
Absolutely. You can just go to lifemoneyshow.com, click on the Work With Me tab. Yes, we've got a full process that we go through that, takes folks from those initial discussions of, I'll call it retirement design, whether it's work optional, whether it's full-time retirement. What are your interests? What's your retirement look like? Then our strategy meetings, which then take us into implementation. But while I get it, we've got a process in place. We just take those initial first steps, and those initial first steps are a 15-minute phone call where my question is going to be, how can I help you the most? And that's where we're going to find out whether or not there's a potential fit. Maybe if there's a potential fit and I feel like I can bring value to you and your situation, well, we'll talk about the entire process and the next steps. But, sometimes it's not necessarily the right fit, not meaning, the person doesn't meet all the criteria, but sometimes they're just looking for help that, I need to just point them in a different direction. So either way, we're going to get you headed in the right direction, but it just starts with a small 15-minute phone call. I'm going to ask you, how can we help? And we'll take the next steps from there.
All right, very good. We got a question I want to wrap up things with here today that came in from Doris. She says, I'm a very, very conservative investor, and I have about 80% of my 401k in a money market fund. I know that's probably not the best idea, but I'm just afraid of making the wrong choice at the wrong time if I take too much risk. How badly am I hurting myself with this approach?
Well, this one might be one where Doris, to, I guess, go in the theme of our show here, Ben, Doris might have a little regret in 20 years if she leaves 80% of her 401k in the money market account. And because she's going to miss out on, future growth and potential opportunities, maximizing her income stream. And I think just the overall of seeing and hearing Doris's question, this comes across a lot as we work with people. It's that they're scared to, make the wrong choices. They're scared to touch their funds. And it's typically because there's not a strategy in place. Understanding how much they need from an income standpoint and then relating that over to their investments. And once you do that, it kind of gives the mind the ability to say, oh, okay, well, here's how much we need on the growth side because we need our money growing for the future. Here's how much we need on the safer side that's going to help supplement income and in case the market goes down, and helps people feel a lot more comfortable in regards to their overall investments and how they're allocated. So we don't want Doris to live in regret. Doris, if you don't feel comfortable putting your money to work, would really recommend, sitting down with a financial professional so that they can walk you through a plan and a strategy that best fits you, as I think it's important that you get this money to work for you, especially with inflation and the cost of goods and services continuing to go up.
Good stuff. Thanks as always for the question, and we appreciate everybody's feedback. Again, please share the show with a friend. If you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. And always take advantage of that 15-minute phone call with Scott. All right, we'll wrap it up on that note, Scott. A lot of great information here. Again, I encourage you to check out the show notes for that article itself if you want to read through those retirement regrets. But if you have any questions, again, lean on a financial advisor. But we appreciate the time as always.
Sierens Financial Group is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Sierens Financial Group, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Sierens Financial Group, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Sierens Financial Group, Inc.